This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Delighted to be joined with Carl Frampton here at York Hall, the spiritual home for Sam Gilley's long-awaited return against Jack McGann. Yeah, looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, good fight. I was speaking to Martin Murray, who's Jack McGann's coach. They're up for it. They fancy it as well. Gilley has to be the favourite in the fight, though. But it's a good fight, and I think McGann, although he's coming in on short notice, he's one of these fighters that's never really out of the gym and always fit, so he definitely has a chance. I think the pressure's on Gilley just because he's coming in last minute. He's expected to win, and it's not a nice position to be in when you're expected to win with relative ease, but I think it's a good fight.
When you look at it with someone like Sam Gilley, who I think he's admitted, I think it'd be a year tomorrow or a year across the weekend since he last fought, obviously at York Hall, and he's had to deal with a lot of frustration. Like when you deal with that as a fighter, and there's no real, I guess you hit that point of his career, he's now back in a serious fight. Like, is it sort of like, do you think it'll be difficult to sort of get in, because he hasn't had that chance to, like, say, have a 6th round, 8th round and get the ring rust off? He's back in a serious fight. So do you think there's a lot of obstacles for Sam tonight? Would you say?
No, I mean, I think a lot's too much is probably made out of ring rust and stuff like that. Like, he's a young enough, reasonably young man. He's not fucking ancient. I don't think ring rust will affect him as long as he's been doing plenty of sparring and prepared well for this fight. So I don't see that as being an issue for Sam Gilley.
Just wanted to get your thoughts on Royston Barney-Smith, who's obviously back out tonight. Yeah, exciting young talent in the super featherweight division.
Yeah, great to watch. Lovely skills, can fight a wee bit as well. Better boxer than fighter, but can fight as well if he has to. Punch selection, very, very good. Can punch okay, and I think he's only a kid still. It'll develop more, and he'll be punching hard given another 2 or 3 years. But he's lovely on the eye, really, really good fighter, and nice to watch. Yeah.
Did want to quickly move on to I guess last week. I'm looking back on the whole Beterbiev Bivol card with the main event in the whole. Looking back on the whole card, what did you make of it? Obviously, a lot of talking points. I think it was sort of one of the better ones that we've had so far.
Yeah, it was a good card, really good. I mean, they're all good cards. You don't expect anything bad when you go out to Saudi Arabia now. All the fights seem to be competitive and well matched, and for meaningful titles as well. But great card. Main fight was class, top class, quality fight, close fight. Up a tie, quality. The two girls making a wee bit of history as well. What happened in Whittaker Cameron, it had a wee bit of everything.
I did want to, I guess, touch on the Whittaker fight in depth. Obviously, a lot of people having their main takeaways from it. It's been about a week now, sort of all sorts of stuff have come out. Obviously, the video at King Khalid Airport with Ben Whittaker have obviously been videoed, and then what resulted with a fan's phone. I guess now the sort of dust has settled and it's sort of carrying on. What do you make of that whole situation from a Whittaker standpoint?
Honestly, well, I mean, no one can really tell whether he was really injured or not, but for me it didn't look like he was, and I felt like the fight was just getting a bit hard for him at that stage, and I think I might have had Whittaker 1 round in front. I think it was I had it 3-2 to Whittaker maybe, but it was going to become increasingly more difficult for him, I think, and I think, again, can't know for sure, but I think he just found a way out.
When it comes to Whittaker, do you think there is, a cause for concern overall? Because you'd say it's probably been a string of poor performances now, or below par performances from what he's expected, and especially I think Saturday's probably the tip of the iceberg. With his expectations, do you think there's cause for concern?
Absolutely. I mean, look, he's a very, very skillful fighter, but it takes more than just being a skillful fighter to get to the very top, and I think he needs to. I don't know if he punches hard enough to get to the very, very top. And for me, anyway, that whole stage, you either love it or hate it. But I'm not a fan of that kind of flash, almost arrogance in the ring. I know that he's doing it, and he's making opponents make mistakes while he's doing it. But it gets a bit boring for me when you're doing it and being involved in 10-round fights and not knocking someone out. People are comparing him with the Prince a wee bit, but the difference between the Prince was he done it and then he would spark you out, and it was exciting. It just gets a bit boring for me.
Do you think the Cameron rematch happens?
If it doesn't, then we all know what I just suggested there. I think he has to fight him next, or he's going to get a lot of criticism, and he'll deserve it as well. The Cameron fight needs to happen next.
Last sort of topic I wanted to touch on, Anthony Joshua. It's been a few weeks now since his defeat to Daniel Dubois. I guess in your opinion, what do you think is the future for Anthony Joshua? I spoke to Johnny Nelson. He suggested he needs to retire. I guess from your point of view, what do you think is the next sort of steps in his career?
I'm not sure. Look, I think he's in a difficult position because where does he go from here? After that performance against Daniel, it's hard to see him winning a world title. Does he want to be a fighter who has been a world champion? He doesn't want to be in to make the numbers up and just get paydays. I mean, he's probably worth 300 million. I don't know, maybe more. If, in my opinion, I struggle to see a way from to win a world title. And I would tend to agree with Johnny. I think he probably should retire. I mean, he's had an incredible career, unified champion, Olympic gold medalist. Brought so many eyes to boxing as well, filled out stadiums, but ultimately the call's up to him. But if I'm in his ear, if I was part of the team, I'd be kind of suggesting, what do you need to do it for? I don't think he does.
Is it fair to say that he deserves, I guess, one more roll of the dice, whether that be the Dubois rematch or sort of another option or a Fury fight? Is there like one more big fight left, do you think?
I mean, of course there is. I think the Fury fight's still appealing. It's probably not as big as it was a couple of years ago. Fury's lost to Usyk. AJ's lost a few times now. But it's still a fight that, promoted correctly, sells out Wembley. So, of course he deserves a chance because of everything that he's done in this sport. He does deserve a chance, but I think just for health reasons and safety concerns and everything else. Look, it's all right having all the money in the world, but when you're involved in hard fights like that, they always just take a wee bit away from you. Always take something, and you don't get it back. And that would be my concern for the big man. He's just maybe not a couple of tough, grueling fights. Maybe he's not quite the fighter that he used to be.
Last one, and I guess from a fighter point of view, and it's sort of something I've been wanting to ask you. Where you see now, or I guess the opportunities that you've got. I know you retired obviously a couple of years ago. Is there ever any sort of kicking yourself that you wish like Riyadh season come in like a couple years? I know you obviously made good money in your career, had some big fights, but when you see obviously what's happening, Nick Ball and that, is there ever any part where you're like, if it was just sort of a few years later?
No, I always say kind of, I suppose with a bit tongue in cheek, but I mean if the Saudis were around when I was in my pump around 2016, 17, that sort of time, it would have been nice, but they weren't. But I'm just glad to be a part of these events, and the events that they're putting on is drawing more eyes to the sport that I love as well, and long may it continue.
Definitely. Carl, always a pleasure to catch up with you, mate, and all the best. Enjoy tonight, mate. Top man. Thank you, mate. Cheers. Thank you.